So hello and welcome to another Valorant map analysis. Today we are talking about Fracture and how to defend on Fracture. And this one is probably the hardest one of all because I don't think anyone, literally anyone, really knows how to defend on Fracture. The top teams, I think it was like a 60% win rate for the attacking side on this map, even at the pro level. So, it is very attack-sided at the moment. I do expect that that will change in time, as people get more familiar with the map, that it'll get closer to 50-50. But right now, I don't think anyone truly knows how to actually defend this map. And I've got the meta agents for you here, or at least close to the meta. Obviously, it's a new map, right? No one really fully knows, I don't think, that what is meta. Breach was the only agent that was picked 100%. Cypher was another very popular choice as well. But other than that, it's kind of up to you and what you want, because a lot of different things can work. It's a map where people don't really know what's good yet. So we're still working that out. But there are some interesting things about defending this map, and I'll tell you straight away what the problem people have had with defending this map is. There's 4 ways to go. I'm sure you understand that. The attackers can go sort of towards 4 different areas. That's where they start. So this is a 4, but the problem is that this is often a 4-6 map. And if you defend this, and 6 means that there are 6 choke points. And you might notice you only have 5 defenders. And so how do you defend a map that has 6 choke points but only 5 defenders? And that is the problem that I think a lot of teams are dealing with right now and having to try and sort out right now, is that they cannot manage to defend when there are 6 different places that the attackers could go. And so let's highlight those places, right? So of course we have towards A main here, we have the door as well, and of course we have the ledge drop down from dish, we have the entrance to B through arcade, we have obviously the tower as well, and the entrance through B main also. That's 6, right? That's 6 places that they could go. How on earth do you manage to defend against that? Well, that's very tricky, and that's what we're going to try and solve. And I'm not saying I have all the perfect answers, because, as I said, no one really does at this point. But to me, you have to try and make this number 6 to be less than 6. And I think you can make it 4 or 5 if you defend this map in a certain way. And what you're probably doing in your ranked games is not doing this, because people in ranked games, they tend, and I've seen it in mine as well, people tend to defend in a normal way. I'll defend my lane, you defend your lane, and we'll be fine, right? But that doesn't work on this map, because one person is going to get left with 2 lanes, or one lane is going to go completely unguarded. That's kind of what happens. And as soon as that person, say we did set up like this, right, which I'm sure many of you have in your ranked games, what happens when this Viper gets smoked off? And this Astra is trying to watch B main, and then people come up here and they kill this Astra, and this Astra is like, how did I die? Viper, what are you doing? And this Viper's like, well, I got smoked off in tower and I can't watch both, and what do you want me to do? I'm sure that's happened in a lot of games right now on this map, and I'm sure it leads to a lot of the frustrations with this map, because people don't know what they're doing and don't know how to play. And so that's the problem, right? And so what we have to do, the main way I think of solving this, is that this has to be the choke point that you try and get to, and this has to be the choke point that you try and set, because obviously these both have 2, but if you can stop them here, then that means that it's only 1, right? If you make this the choke point, and then 1, 2, 3, and 4, if you make those the choke points instead, you're only dealing with 4. Now, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to control both of them, but I think it's very possible you can get to 1, right? And that's where you should send the 5th defender, is where you're trying to make this 1 instead of 2. So your 5th defender, for instance, comes here and you try and play aggressive on A main or on B main. It could be the other way as well. It could be like this, and you try and play aggressive down here, and you try and take control of this space, or A main space, right? And the reason for that is then it stops 2 choke points and it turns 2 into 1, and then you're on 4 and 5, and then you can deal with whatever is going on, right? You can then sort of have a bit of more of breath of fresh air. You can start to deal with more of the problems that you might be facing. So that would be my suggestion, and I would even go even further with it. And what I've got here is set up some Cypher utility on dish. I think cheating a lane on this map is also really good. And the 2 lanes that I would ever cheat would probably be the ones with only 1 entrance, right? Because I don't think that they are nearly as important as the ones with 2 entrances. So whether it's dish, whether it's the staircase here towards B main, cheat one of those lanes. And by cheating a lane, what I mean is you're going to put no person there. You're going to put sentinel utility in that area, but there is no person guarding that, right? Now, you're not going to do this every round in the same place. As I said, you can swap it between A and B, the dish and the stairs. You can swap it between those 2 places. I wouldn't do it on the same place all the time. And I wouldn't even do it every round, but I think as a general default, people, especially Dish, tend not to go there too much. And so it might take a while for the attackers to figure out that actually no one is defending there. And so you might get away with doing that 3-4 rounds in a row. And if you can get away with doing that and putting no one there, well then all of a sudden this 2-man rush becomes a 3-man rush. Or instead, the Cypher goes and helps the Viper out here on B main. And you get the information, though. You still have the information if anyone is there. They have to destroy this tripwire, or you'll see them on the camera, or something like that, right? But now all of a sudden, all the gaps are clogged. If we look at this setup instead, if we manage to do this, if there is no one towards Dish, we have that information. Good job. If there's no one towards A here, well, then we've got 3 players on B. We have a quick flank as well, and this, I think, is probably your best chance to try and defend on this map. Now, one of the supposed advantages the defenders are meant to have on this map, and it is an advantage, I guess I shouldn't say supposed, because it is an advantage, is that you have very fast rotates, right? You have your spawn is the quickest way to get to B from A, which is really nice, right? That's a really good thing. I think the problem with that a lot of the time is what goes on is that when attackers come up, and they're ready to attack the site, they automatically, and I'm sure you do it on attack as well, you automatically look towards the spot. Like, that there's people in this area. You always know there's people in this area, and it's always smoked off from the attackers, and that's always going on, and you know where the defenders are likely to be. And so whilst it is an advantage that you can get there quickly, if you can't get there quickly enough still to where you can't, get to across this and to a different place, it's not actually that worthwhile, I don't think, a lot of the time. Because if you're stuck, like, let's say, say they're pushing up the stairs here and this Astra dies, right? So this Astra is dead, and this Breach is here, and he's like, oh, I'll defend. These attackers that come up are going to just straight away, this is the first thing they're going to check. Because they know that it's likely that there are people there, because there's always people there. That's what always happens on this map. And so whilst it is, an advantage in a way, if you can't get there quick enough, I actually don't even think it's worth it. If you can't manage to cross, like, if you can't do what this Cypher is doing here and get across there, then I honestly don't think it's really worth it. Because if you are here, the defenders won't expect that, because then they will still come this way and they will still be looking here. And you'll get killed, right? That's just the kind of way it goes. Because this will always be smoked off, and you won't be that much of a use. You'll just have to watch your teammates die, and then, you'll be playing in a 5v3 or whatever it might be. And it's not going to be that handy to you. So, another advantage of playing aggressive. Let's say we're playing aggressive towards B here instead, and we're going to take this area of B main control. This Raze is going to be a bit more passive because she's all alone, and so she's going to, maybe give up more space towards A main. Maybe play in tower here, somewhere pretty safe, where she can't be hit from. We have the Sentinel utility on disc because no one ever really goes there, or at least, not often. And even if they do, right, even if there's a full 5, at least they, you can just play full retake. But let's say we get aggressive towards B here, right? That means that if they do start to come A and this Rage, sees that they're in A main and the camera maybe spots 2 towards Dish and all of that, well, then you get this fast flank, right? You have an extremely quick flank going on if they are pushing A instead, and that is going to catch people off guard, because they're used to people being in these areas. This is a very common area. This is always smoked in a very common area, and they will just send utility at these spots. But you might be able to get all the way up here and, find a free kill on someone, looking, maybe peeking and expecting someone on A main. There might be a free kill in that area, and then you're in like a 5v4, and then you can play a full retake. And that, I think, is what you have to do on this map. You have to be willing to accept that it's not going to go your way, that it's not an easy map to defend by any means, and you need to try the best you can to, eliminate as much of the difficulty as you can. And you have to do that by being aggressive, because, as I say, you're not going to be able to defend 6 choke points. So there's no point in defending this map normally, because it's not going to work. It simply is not going to work. The way it's designed is to be pretty attackers friendly. You're probably only going to be able to get on 1, but I would say that pushing on this map, leaving places, like say for instance, this was our setup and we were just charging it down B. This is fine. Like, seriously, it's fine. And I know that people, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like something that is what defenders do, right? Defenders defend and attackers attack. Well, on this map, you have to flip the script, because otherwise you're just at a disadvantage. Normally the attackers are at a disadvantage and have to find ways to break a defense down. In this, the attackers are given 6 entrances to 5 defenders. So really the onus is on you to find a different way, and I think that they wanted to create a bit of a different map with Fracture, and I think they very much did create a different map with Fracture, because this is why people don't get it. This is why people don't like the map, right? I'm sure you've been shot in the back a ton of times on this map because you don't understand how to defend, what angles they're coming from, and why is your teammate, not watching this. And well, it's because your teammate has to worry about more than you have realized they have to worry about. And that is what is going on, and that's why you're dying from behind, and that's, where all the chaos is coming from. And you're trying to rotate through spawn, and it's going horribly because they know that you're there all the time. And so you have to be willing to be more aggressive on this map, to take the onus to the attackers. And sometimes it'll go bad, right? Sometimes you'll just get killed, and you'll feel like, oh, well, we gave them a free round. We ran out and we died instantly. And sometimes people will get annoyed at you doing that, and you shouldn't do it alone. I think if you're going to do this, you should do it as a coordinated push. This is why Breach, again, is pretty good on this map, because he can sort of stimulate a coordinated push towards one of these areas, right? And so I think that, that's why another reason why Breach shines on this map. And so whilst one side is being aggressive, the other should be passive. So this is the kind of thing that you would want going on. In this instance, if we were playing like this, maybe we'd have a Cypher Cam here, maybe we'd have a Tripwire here, right? This is how we would play it. We might even put it like a Viper Orb as well, or, whatever, a smoke down here as well. And just say, we're not going to, we're going to say as if almost there is someone on B main with this much utility, but there actually isn't. And we're just going to push B, right? But as these players are getting aggressive, these should be pretty passive. This is the way you want to play it. Aggressive on one, passive on the other. If they come towards A, the great thing about this map and playing aggressive on this map is if you get it wrong, don't worry too much. Don't worry too much, because guess what? These sites aren't the hardest to retake. If you look at A site, generally speaking, once they've gone onto A site, they will normally be in this area. Like, this area is all you normally have to worry about. They normally won't have the time to jump up and get back up to dish, so you can be pretty confident there. And this isn't a lot of space to have to worry about. In all honesty, this is not a lot to have to worry about. And the same is true to some extent on B site as well. They get a little more maybe on B site, but from this box, they can come into tower. That's kind of the one little extra bit of place they get to go. But other than that, this isn't a grand space either that they're going to be in. And so retaking on this map actually isn't the most difficult thing in the world, because generally the attackers aren't given that much space, even once they do plant the spike. So that's just another reason to get aggressive, because if you do get it wrong and they do go for a full rush on dish or on stairs or wherever you're not, then, playing retake isn't that bad a lot of the time, because, they'll be normally in a pretty confined area, and you'll be able to, find the kills, hopefully, and find the round win. And so that is my tip for you on Fracture. I know that some people won't like it, but you really must be aggressive, super aggressive, really, in terms of defending goes, because otherwise you're just going to end up, getting shot in the back a lot, because there's a choke point that none of you can defend. And guess what? The attackers will find that in quite a few rounds and be able to exploit that, and so you just cannot defend normally. Please, please, please play more aggressive on Fracture on defense, and I guarantee that you will have more success. One, you'll just catch your opponents off guard, and two, it's the correct way to play the map, in my opinion.